Hi, how are you? Oh my goodness. Going live always gives me like a little just ooey gooey feeling, and I can't express how I love connecting with you all so much on here. And I really felt called. I've been just having some retrospective thoughts going on today, and also talking with other people, which I'll get into in a second, and has got me to feel inspired to come on and talk about this. And so, hey, first and foremost, because I'm awful at doing this, hello to anybody who's new to my world, who is maybe kind of a new follower in the community. Hello, I am Megan, and I, more than anything, say that I work with the human spirit. I love people, I love community, I love connection, and I am just so grateful to have so many beautiful, amazing people in this community. And so by trade, I am a branding photographer, I am a confidence coach, and a speaker and podcaster. So those are kind of my little areas where I spend time creating and doing all the things. But that's not what this is about today. And so let's kind of just dive into what my brain is pulling up for us today. And so I titled this, Is This Keeping You Stuck? Because in my world, there are a lot of things that are kind of everyday life or simple kind of occurrences, if you will, that are kind of monumental when we take a look at them and how they are affecting us. And so whether you are an entrepreneur, a business owner, just a human walking on this planet, we all have seasons of feeling stuck, or we feel as though maybe we're on a hamster wheel that is not going anywhere. Or even if we are feeling like we're moving forward or have momentum, we aren't feeling like it's going as fast as we want it to, or we mentally don't feel ready or prepared. And so I set that kind of scene for you to kind of help set the tone for the conversation that we're about to have. And so what I wanted to bring to life today was something that I find for myself, I find for my clients, I just had a conversation with one of my friends about, is our space and what is around us. Is that keeping us stuck? Can it be part of the culprit of feeling as though we're not flourishing like we want to, we're not feeling as mentally or physically or emotionally as abundant as we would like? And to answer that, in my world, yes. As a human development as someone who has a human development background, I should say, and has a interior design and color theory background as well, I believe that us as humans are affected by the space around us. Like it seems kind of like a no-brainer in one breath, but then in other times it's on autopilot. And hey Sid, hello. So we just put it on autopilot. So many people don't really think about the space around them. So often we don't think about the pieces in our houses, our offices, the place where we create, being of that much importance. But in my world, it is. And I think it's something that we should talk about more. I think that, hey Heather, how are you? I think it's something we should talk about more because it's simple in many respects, but can be complex if we think about it in kind of a bigger, broader way. And so this conversation started today because I was talking with a friend of mine, and we were going through some thoughts and ideas of a space where over the last few years has just kind of ebbed and flowed. There's been some stickiness, some kind of seeing the bigger picture but not being there yet. And somehow I had this kind of thought in my head, and I was like, hey, you know what? I feel called to ask you to take a look around the space. Take a look around your office, your house, the space where you go work in and create in and bring ideas to life, and see if there's anything that just feels old, maybe dusty, that you don't need it in anymore, you don't need it in that space anymore, or that you can maybe just move around and refresh the space. Now, if you've been around a while and you hop on my stories regularly, you have seen me talk about this or show like the transformation of my cluttered desk into kind of something that I just start fresh over like in the middle of the day, because I firmly believe that a cluttered mind can come from a cluttered space or an uninspired space. And so when I talked to my friend, we were doing voice notes back and forth, which are my favorite things ever. She was like, I'm like, I don't even know if this is suiting for you right now, or if this will be helpful for you. And she came back going, you know what? Actually, there's some old notebooks that are in there that remind me of kind of where I wanted to be at one point, but then I changed. So they're kind of a reminder of that shift, but they're still here. So they can make me feel maybe a little bit like, oh, well, that was a past version of myself, or that didn't work out. And then she was kind of thinking of other things like, oh, you know what? It would be nice to kind of just go in, maybe add a different plant into the space or move stuff around so that it just feels light and refreshed again, right? It doesn't have to be rocket science. But when we do that, even if our space overall feels good to us, even if we go, I am huge on like every couple weeks I walk around and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put that picture frame over here and this plant over there. And then I'm going to, move that around. And what it does is just kind of makes me feel intentional again. Because when I walk through the room or I go sit down into my dining room or into my office, it's something new. It catches your eye. You're like, oh, I really like that plant over there. And what it makes us do is kind of moves us in the direction of thinking more clearly, thinking maybe bigger, thinking just, I don't know, in a refreshed, renewed space. I would love to hear what your thoughts are on this. I'm going to dive into a couple other thoughts that I had surrounding this and I just love and find it so important, but I would love to hear your space or your thought on this whole idea and what space and the things around us can do for us. Hold on, I'm going to see. I think I'm missing some comments. Sid says, our perception is always our reality. Yeah. And if you're looking around going, that pile of clothes is staring at me and I haven't got to it in days or weeks, or you know what, that spot over there is just cluttered and whatever. Even if you don't think it's affecting you or you feel like you're still productive and doing all the things, there's still a little piece of you that could be wrapped up in that kind of stagnant energy. And why would we want that if we don't have to? It can be a simple fix of just putting away the things or moving the things or creating a new routine that helps you keep that space or spot more open and airy. Heather, it clears room for new changes in your life before they happen. It prepares you mentally. Lauren is always doing this in the salon. I love that. So that is so good, but it does. It clears room for changes that you may not even be knowing are coming in the best way possible. It's this perception of just renewed energy and everything. I mean, we get shocked when we touch things, right? If we, I know when I wear my slippers in the winter and I'm like sloughing my feet and then I go touch something. Well, the reason why that's happening is I'm electrically charged. The thing I touch is then, getting that energetic shift. There's energy all around us and these things can really help or hinder us. So this got me thinking that when I was a teenager, I was a really messy teenager. I was always getting in trouble for having a room that was just like a bomb went off in it. There was always clothes everywhere. There was things. I did move my furniture around often because my room was adaptable in different like layouts and all that good stuff. But it always just got back to disaster zone. And I look back and there was a lot of heaviness going on in that time for me. I was in a relationship that at the time was okay, but really wasn't healthy. I was getting sinus infections all of the time. And it was not until I kind of got out of this kind of negative space within this relationship, within where I was like physically, and I moved into, literally for me, it was moving out of my house, that I saw how much that affected me. And it was like, wow. And it wasn't until like really recently that I saw the whole big picture of it. So I just say that, and I urge you to think about that, even if you're somebody who already does, get grittier, get even more in the like, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, in the tiny crevices of all of this thinking, because it's something we can do without spending any money, really just a little bit of time, energy, thought, all of that. It becomes more of a motivational space versus it being not creative. Yes, you're so right, Sid. And I think it's like, it's one of those things where our mental kind of connection to what's around us is so strong. Like I just said, in my teen life years and even my early college years, I was not in the most healthy of a relationship. I was in a relationship for 7 years and it just became increasingly more toxic. And the space around me was a part of what was happening internally, even though I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all. Right? But I look back and I'm like, gosh, it was such a clear connection now that my worth was wrapped up in this kind of yucky relationship. And then my worth, or lack of it, I should say, was then spewed out on the floors and on the counters and on the everything, or whatever, not counters in my bedroom, but on dressers and all of that. It was clear. Like looking back, it's clear as day that was a direct reflection of what was going on in here. And now I'm not saying that my space or your space or any space needs to be pristine and perfect at all times. But what I am reminding us of is that making sure that there's something in the space, that inspires us, right? And it's displayed in a way that isn't just like thrown in the corner or like plopped on a bulletin board. Give it a moment. Maybe put it in a frame. Maybe put a plant in a space or a corner that really feels good. Hey, Jody, this whole conversation is coming off of our some of our conversations we were having earlier. So welcome to the extension of that. It does not need to be pristine or perfect, right? My house is not always pristine or perfect, but what we're all saying, right? I love the comments here, is that it does motivate us when things are feeling kind of in line with what we want in life. And when we want abundance, whether it's in creativity, it's in relationships, it's in our financials, it's in our business, it's in all of these things, we can't show the world, the universe, the higher powers that we're ready for more when we are just shoveling shit literally into a corner or just piling up, our space or our desk. So when it happens, and it's going to happen because we're all human, when these things happen, we have to be more mindful of going, hey, I'm going to take a minute to reset this desk or reevaluate what I really need in my living room or what feels good to have in any of my spaces, Like, it's an amazing thing. And I wish my, 13, 14 to like 20-ish year old self could have known that, because it was, looking back, it's like, oh my gosh, she was suffering. Her space was a direct reflection of the suffering that was happening with my anxiety, with that toxic relationship I was telling you about, all of that. And probably if I really would put it into like bigger perspective, what I was doing and motivated to do at that time too. It's just true, right? And so, hold on, let me make sure I'm not missing any good comments, because you guys I love chatting with you guys. Digging deep into our brains or space is so helpful and motivating. It becomes so not motivational. Yes, it can really do some damage there. And again, sometimes for many people, this kind of goes unnoticed, right? Because even people, and this doesn't even come down to like a tidiness or cleanliness side of things, even people who have overall tidy, clean spaces, it's not about that, right? Again, I'm saying like, listen, I got 2 dogs, we got, all the things. There's never going to be this perfection, but it's more about the intentionality about your space. What in it is lighting you up? What in it is so old and doesn't serve you anymore that it's just like staring you down? What in your space is reminding you of something that maybe you perceive as a failure, or reminds you of someone, something, some unattained goal that didn't happen? Get it out of here. Get it out of there, There's a time and a place for keepsakes and things that, you want to hold on to for whatever reasons, but put them in a keepsake space. They don't need to be staring at you. And really also ask yourself, is this really a keepsake or just something I'm like trying to hold on to? A version of myself that maybe I thought I needed, but I don't, you know? I have a few bins of sentimental things, and they're like just truly sentimental, and they truly mean something to me. They're not just like a bunch of, you know, garbage. That's how I view dating. Your home is a representation of you. It's sacred. It's a space I am not going to allow others here unless they bring in good energy. This is so true. I love that. And it's so important, right, that we set that tone for ourselves, because then it does radiate into other people. And when they're coming into our space, when they're experiencing us, there's no better compliment when people come over to my house, for instance. Like, it's always so cozy in here. My niece one time told me, I love, even your bathrooms feel serene and uplifting. And I was like laughing, and she's like, what is the secret? I'm like, well, I'm always making sure the space feels good, that there are things that bring in interest, that there are plants. I sage often to just get rid of any like gross, negative grossness. Like, you're so right, Sid. It's like, it's really important. Like, this is our space that we live, breathe, work, create, play with our kids, play with our pets, all the things in. I like to call it resets instead of cleaning. Ooh, yes, Heather, I love that. Resets. And that's just a shift of our mindset. It's just a shift of our vocabulary. Wow, that was hard to say for some reason. Of our vocabulary that just makes it feel like something that's intentional and important versus I have to do it, right? There are people who would wish to have an apartment, a home, an office, a space that they could live, work, create in, that you have. So don't, we don't want to take that for granted, but changing the words around it. I love that. Freaking yes, Heather. Oh. I do a bedroom reset every morning and kitchen reset every night. That's amazing. Oops, sorry. I'm almost sending random words on my screen here. Okay. I love that you do that. And then you have that routine, because it's just that little thing to go back to homeostasis, to go back to, a clean slate, so that you're open to what the next day, the next, version of you and your family and your business, whatever it is, whatever the space is. Limiting keepsakes. Yes, I knew you would love that one, Jody. Of course, keepsakes are important. They're a little ticket back to times in our lives, but we don't need, gobs, and we don't need a whole garage full of them. For me, it's like I have, I don't know, maybe 7 bins that are in my crawl space, so they're not taking up my physical living space, that have stuff from my dancing days, from my teaching days, that are some special notes from people, obviously photos, like things like that. But it's like, we're not letting that all spill out everywhere. And I'm sure people with kids, that's even harder, because you want to keep stuff from them, but right, keeping important things and is great, but we don't need all of the stuff, because it becomes just a reminder of, I don't know, clutter. Let's see. We just shift our minds into another view. Yes, I like the winky face. Absolutely. Totally. Space can feel the vibes walking into any space. Oh my gosh. Yes. If you have walked into a place where you're like, yay, and you don't feel good, like, you know. And if you're not as in tune with that kind of stuff, the more you tap into it, the more you will become more in tune with it. And you'll be like, oh, like, what's going on here? What old energy is here? Am I safe here? All of the things. And part of my whole entire existence is, and my personal mission statement, which I just talked about on, I think it was the most recent podcast, was creating a personal mission statement for ourselves. As business owners, for anybody who is a business owner, we have mission statements and things like that. But what about a personal mission statement? Part of mine is, and you can go to that episode to hear a little bit more about what mine is, but part of mine is creating a safe space for myself to exist in, and then being a safe space for other people. And could you imagine if my home and my mental state and where I invite people to felt yucky and overwhelming or scary or frustrating or whatever word you want to say, that wouldn't be too good, right? And so I would not be upholding my personal mission statement. So creating a safe space for ourselves first and foremost, and then for others, and for our kids, for our family, clients, all of it. So I love this conversation that we're having. I love that we can bounce off each other. And for anybody who watches the replay on this too, feel free to jump in the comments because I want to be able to continue the conversation. I want to hear your take on this, or if you had an aha moment, if this isn't something that has been to the forefront of your mind as much. I would love to hear if you're like, oh my gosh, I never thought about that. Or something that you do, like everybody's been sharing here, that you do, kitchen resets, things like that. It's so freaking important. You are such a safe space for other people. Oh, thank you, Jody. And so are you. It's so important just to take a deep breath, and whoever needs it right now, take a deep breath and just like ground into ourselves. Remind us that like home is here right within ourselves, not the walls within you, with you live within. I'm getting tongue tied again. This is real life, guys. It's about to be magic hour in the house. You could probably see, if you've been on this whole time, you can see the shifting of the light on my face. It's getting brighter and brighter. So I got to capture some goodness and share it on my stories, because you know I'm always sharing that. I am at a space of pause because I am so anxious these days and need to keep going. Okay, so you're at a space of pause. There's some anxiety going on, but you need to keep forging through, right? At the same time, right? We have to have there's that duality of life, man. That duality of life where you're kind of in two spaces at the same time. So remember that you come home to that space, and you can allow that frustration to happen. And that anxiety to happen, let it out. Don't forget to move your body. You know, I'm going to say that. Don't forget to move your body. I know you're good at that, but sometimes in certain seasons we get away from the things that we know are good for us. So be sure to let some of that anxiousness out. Maybe this conversation is a sign to, and I know you're in a new space, to take a look around and see what would feel good within that space, to maybe move some of that anxiousness out and around of the space. So even if it's just like sliding over a dresser onto a different wall or whatever it is, it doesn't have to be anything monumental. You don't have to go, build a whole new table, or maybe you do, I don't know. Perception is your reality, yet you can't help being human. I know, right? This human thing is tricky, you guys. This being a human is really tricky. If we could always tap into kind of like the spiritual, emotional, like I trust everything side of ourselves, how beautiful would it be? But there's the other side of our brains that are going to go, hey, that's a little bit scary. Hey, you should think about this. You should think about that, even if it's not helpful thoughts at the time. And so that's why we have to take stock in figuring out what's fact and what's fictitious in this brain of ours, and only go with the facts. Okay, this is real. This is reality. This is a fact that is actually happening, or was actually done, or I'm actually doing, and then I'm going to continue building and making decisions based on that. I love that. For anybody who needs to take a couple extra deep breaths here, shake something out. I was on my stories today, jumping and shaking around. Don't let it be for nothing. Shake out that energy. I'm actually about to go have dinner with one of my lifelong besties who is going through kind of just some anxious times as well. And the last few days of this week have been anxious for myself and for so many people that I love, as it's just so much. And so now it's time to let it go. We're going to accept that there are hard parts, and we're going to let it go. So take some deep breath, shake it out. If you haven't yet today, put one song on, at least one. If you do more, I know I'll be happy about that, but at least one song that just feels good to you, and dance. Do it by yourself, do it with your kids, do it with your hubby, do it while you're washing your dishes, whatever it is, just do it. I promise you won't feel worse. I promise you that. Yes, I did a full-on dance party in the kitchen to some early 2000s music to move the energy. You get a gold sticker and a round of applause. Nice work, my friend. That is good. Hey, it's so simple. Again, it's going back home into this beautiful body that we all possess and just doing the dang thing. And movement, dance, music, singing, humming. An episode coming up on the podcast is talking about one of my protocols I've created for helping my anxiety and helping my energy. And so some of those things are wrapped up into it, but allow just things to move through, and then look around your space. Your biggest dream work for today, we don't call it homework around here. One of my clients, we were on a coaching call, and she's like, it's not called dream work in this town, in this world of our world. Together, she meant. It's called dream work. So your dream work for today is to put on that one song, even if you already had, maybe do it one more time, do another song, do a different genre, do a different vibe, whatever, and dance or move your heart up and out, and look around your space, especially one that you create in, especially one that you do things that you love, like with people that you love. Look around and see what the heck needs to move around. And even if it doesn't feel icky and sticky, just slide over a plant, a vase, a picture frame to a different spot just for the heck of it. Find a little intention, get some tangible lobster fingers onto something and move it, and just see how over the next week when you look at it and go, oh, you know what? It reminds you of that little moment of intention that you had, and see what that does for you. So as I wrap up, let me see. I think there's a couple more comments here. Doing the dang thing, moving and shaking. Bringing that abundance, baby. My gosh, the people on the replay are going to be like, hello, crazy woman. And you know what? Absolutely. Crazy about loving and living this life to the fullest, as best as possible. Not always easy, but I'm surely going to try to do the best. And I'm glad that you're all along with me. I love that you're all along with me and that we can have these conversations. Rock and roll, baby. I love you guys. I love you guys so freaking much. Just do a dance party in your new space. Next live. Okay, I love it. Right? We should have live dance parties. Would that be weird? Like, even if it was just me that was on and people were, we could do like a Zoom and everybody could be dancing. Or we could just be, I would invite everybody to come here. Well, if you're local, obviously. If you're going to fly in for a dance party, I love you. But you've got my gears going now, though, my friend. You've got my gears going. Until then, have your own dance party. You could always send me what do you call it? Video chat here on Instagram. We could have a dance party together. So, yeah, okay. Live dance parties. I've got this. I've got some thoughts going. Until then, my friends, have the best rest of your day or the best rest of your night. If you're just popping on now, I'm wrapping up now, but this will be on the feed. It's a great conversation, real ignited and fun, and the sun is shining in, and yes, we laughed. We had some good moments. So jump on and watch the replay. And until next time, I love you guys. Love you guys. Love you guys so much. And I'll see you soon.